Hello, and thank you for joining IBN News for a special news report. I'm Kim Kaziaka.
And I'm Charity Heimerman.
What's for dinner? This might be one of the most common questions heard in homes around the world. But the true question that should be asked is, what's in your dinner? In every country, in every state, in every city, and in every town, the land is defiled, and evidence is pointing to what we may be doing.
Studies show that several aspects of our food, water, and air systems are connected, creating a very sensitive balance that, if harmed, can increase your opportunity for illness each time you and your family sit down at the dinner table. From human diseases entering our food supply to the questionable use of biosolids, IBN News takes a closer look at what humans may be doing to cause these very illnesses and sicknesses.
In this segment, we will show you what is possibly causing our very own planet to be defiled, and what you can do to save not only yourself, but an entire generation. We begin this segment by looking at pesticides, genetically modified microorganisms designed to kill insects and organisms that feed on crops. But could they be killing much more?
The Codex Alimentarius Commission, or CAC for short, first approved the use of pesticides for use on our nation's crops. However, according to the Global Healing Center, the CAC had in fact approved a deadly cocktail of toxins called persistent organic pollutants. These toxins are called persistent because they cannot be removed from the environment easily.
So who's at risk here? These dangerous pesticides are carried by the wind, on produce, inside produce, on animals, and may run off into public water supplies. Even when used within regulation, studies reveal that the dangers of pesticides can start within the fetal stages of life, making simple tasks such as eating and drinking deadly.
But pesticides may not be the only thing making its way into your produce. Waste management facilities are turning our waste, yes, our waste, into fertilizer. Biosolids, or what some are naming human sludge, is being used to fertilize farmland. The human sludge contains heavy metals and flame retardants along with a host of other toxic chemicals and organisms. Like pesticides, the contents in this sludge end up in our soil and in our food. This leaves many asking what occurs next. IBN News correspondent Tina Wallace finds out more on what people are thinking about these practices. Tina?
Thank you, Charity. And who we have here with us to tell us a little bit more about the subject is Rhea Hawkins, right? Rhea Hawkins, now I understand that you are a restaurant manager. And how long have you been a restaurant manager?
I've been a restaurant manager about 15 years, but I've been in the food service business and gardening for most of my life.
Oh, so you know a lot about even from the growing process.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great, great. So as a manager, what challenges do you face trying to get quality products for your customers?
Well, myself now I don't, but because of the challenges I did face, I had to we started growing our own food and producing we pretty much produce everything for our restaurant because of the products that are out there now we were afraid to use them.
Oh,
and I did bring along some articles to give you the information, some of the information on why we stopped using the products out in the market. We have like the Intelligent Eater, and this is an article on the chemicals, and it says if these chemicals are so safe, why are there warnings not to walk on the grass after the lawn's sprayed? And why do people spraying the pesticides wear suits that would make one think they're working at nuclear waste dumps?
Oh, wow.
It's a very serious thing, and I can remember years ago the strawberries, they sprayed them and they had these suits on. They say, oh, this stuff doesn't go in and you can wash it off. But how are you going to wash it out of a strawberry? You
Wow.
can't. I have an article also, the poisoning of our food supply, and it talks about the reason why our bodies are so toxic is the chemicals, the fungicides, fertilizers, herbicides that they're using, and it's reaping havoc on the population, on our bodies and our immune systems, and it's just they won't stop. It just progressively gets worse. But then you'll say, I'll wash it off, and they have an article here on the bacteria. Does washing get rid of the bacteria? And this is the food safety net. And they say the experts say that washing produce, even very carefully, may not remove all the bacteria.
Oh, wow.
Not just the vegetables, but the meat. And here's an article from Food and Water Watch, and it says, why arsenic doesn't belong in our chicken feed. Well, does it belong in our chicken feed?
Oh, wow.
No, but 70% of the broiler chicken producers use roxasone feed additives, and that is
70%.
arsenic. That's arsenic.
70%, you're saying.
And then over here they tell you chronic arsenic exposure increases the risk of cancer, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and other health problems. Okay, now on the Daily Finance, they show that staph bacteria found in that's half of our poultry and meat. They have found staph bacteria. Yes, half. You've heard about biosolids, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, biosolids, they've done exclusive tests that reveals that salmonella is present in the human feces fertilizer spread on farms even after treatment.
So knowing all of this, all the biosolids, the pesticide use, all the things that are going on with the food and the produce, what do you think that means, not just for you, but for the grower, the next restaurant manager?
The future of the food is very, very scary. I mean, they have the biotech foods. They have articles, are they safe to eat? Times, CNN, fried gene tomatoes, and they give a few examples: corn genes in rice, trout genes in catfish, chicken genes in potatoes.
In potatoes. Oh, wow.
They even tried putting a human gene into a pig embryo, and it didn't work. It came out a cross-eyed porker with crippling arthritis and a strangely wrinkled face. But don't worry, they will get this perfected. And pretty soon we won't know what we're eating. We already do not know what we're eating. They just had a thing in China where their watermelons are exploding because they put on a growth hormone on them. Well, the exploding watermelons, they fed them to the fish and the pigs. And they're going to feed the fish and the pigs to the human beings.
Oh, wow.
So it's just a never-ending cycle. And I printed out one more thing on that just to show you how serious it is. From 92 to 2005, they reported 8 approved GMO foods. And that's in 13 years. Now, in the last 2 years, they've approved 8 more.
8.
So now it's speeding up more and more.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us, Rhea. I think I'm going to go home and do my research on what I'm eating. But thank you so much. We appreciate it. And I'll take it back to the IBN News Desk.
Lastly, we look at a little-known pollutant. Science is showing that sexually transmitted diseases, or STDs, are contaminating both the air we breathe and affecting the very ecosystems we rely on.
As you may or may not have heard, infected humans aren't the only ones suffering from viruses. From oysters to the coral reef, the very life teeming within our ecosystems are experiencing an increase in the cases of infections such as HPV and the herpes virus, just to name a few. One more study finds that the air is teeming with disease-causing pathogens and bacteria.
Most have believed that STDs are treatable. However, studies from the CDC reveal that all forms of STDs have become drug-resistant, increasing the likelihood of deadly viruses jumping from humans to our environment, to our animals, and to our public supplies of food and water.
Should we be asking ourselves about the very practices both people and big industry have become accustomed to? Our very life support system depends on this answer. We here at IBN News have discovered that one place is pointing to scriptures, revealing what they say our behavior is leading to and what the solution may be.
Israel Hawkins from the House of Yahweh shows us that when certain laws are broken, such as the agricultural laws in your Bible and the laws spoken of in Leviticus chapter 18, the body becomes defiled. and in turn defiles everything around us. Earlier, we had the opportunity to get some enlightening information from our women's health expert, Chandra Arsamond. We're going to go ahead and take a look at that clip now. Joining us now to give us more information on this subject, we have women's health expert, Chandra Arsamond. Chandra, thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here, Kim.
Chandra, I want to ask you, how are these microorganisms, or STDs, created?
From a woman's standpoint, when women have multiple sexual partners, as we see prevalent in today's society, they create these unnatural microorganisms in their body, resulting in STDs.
And how do these STDs affect our environment?
Well, because these microorganisms are not natural, they stay in a woman's body and then they mutate and they are fought against by the natural bacteria in a woman's body, and they continue to mutate, and then the women continue to have multiple sexual partners, and then when that woman dies and she's buried, those microorganisms actually go back into the soil and actually can live for years and generations, and then they are picked up by other hosts.
So it actually goes into the soil and the very air we breathe, and therefore becoming a part of the very food that we eat, affecting our food supply.
Yes, it is, and there's so much more, Kim, as far as these STDs that are causing right now a rise in infertility and C-sections in the United States and all across the world. There's just so much more to this story.
Wow, that sounds like some very interesting information. Would you be willing to come back on a future segment to tell us more about that?
Oh, yes, anytime.
Great. We look forward to hearing more from you soon. Thank you. These practices are shown to be the cause of this defilement, meaning we may have to take a second look at our modern ways and go back to the basics. Scriptural basics, that is, since modernization has brought with it many woes.
That's all the news we have for you this evening. Be sure to tune in next time when we uncover the ways of the kings of the East. Thank you for joining us for this special news report. Once again, I'm Charity Heimerman.
And I'm Kim Kaziaka, reporting for IBN News, the world's only true news source.